Hello, Dalia. How are you?
Hello, Steph. I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm very well. Yeah, all okay. How's your week been so far?
My week's been nice, actually. Well, I'm trying to organise my life.
Okay. Some, what do we call that? Life admin?
Yeah, I don't know if you go through these phases where you just try and, tidy everything up. Like, do you ever have those days where you look through your phone and you delete all the thousands of photos that, from a million years ago and stuff like that?
Yes. I tend to do that quite often because my phone starts asking me to pay more money for my iCloud account. Storage. So I'm like, no, I'm not paying anymore.
That's a good incentive.
So yeah, quite often. But I do know what you mean. Yes, having a little sort out, let's say, is always nice. Makes you feel like, I always feel that those sorts of sessions kind of tidy your mind. Do you know what I mean?
I was just about to say, maybe it's because spring is coming. Perhaps students do or do not know about spring cleaning. I'm sure it exists in Korea and every culture, but the big clean you do in the house when spring comes, maybe it's because spring is coming and I'm trying to cleanse my mind and my life.
Yeah, probably. Yes, it's a good expression that you'd say, like, I'm going to have a spring clean or I'm going to do some spring cleaning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just clear everything out.
Indeed.
Yeah. So amidst all this spring cleaning, have you been watching anything interesting that we're going to talk about today?
Speaking of novelty and doing new things, the programme I'm going to talk about is not new at all for me because I've watched it a million times.
That's funny. Well, I do know that you did mention that you like rewatching things, right? You find it quite comforting.
Yeah. Not serial killer, serial watcher.
Thankfully.
But we should explain a little bit maybe what we're doing today. So we're going to be talking about what we've been watching, what we've been reading, and hopefully explain a little bit of vocabulary along the way, which we'll explain as we're talking.
That is right. And we take turns each week. And last time it was my turn to talk about a TV show that I was watching. So now it's Dalia's turn to tell me, what have you been watching? Old or new? Doesn't really matter. Let's share.
Well, I thought I would try and present people with something interesting and maybe a bit obscure and not, something that's really popular or mainstream, but I'm afraid I'm not very interesting. So it's just a very popular American series, comedy called Superstore, which probably most people have heard of because it is on the main page on Netflix. It's pretty big with a lot of big names, and probably is on the Korean Netflix as well, I imagine.
Yes, I've definitely heard the name. I've definitely seen snippets of that show. So not a whole episode from beginning to end, but I've seen bits of it.
Yeah,
let's say.
Just comes up, doesn't it, on the internet?
Yeah, it comes up on the internet or when I'm flicking away, like on my TV. Yeah, I see bits and bobs of it. But I've never actually sat down to watch, properly watch it and watch a whole episode. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on that.
Well, it might not be for everybody. There's a phrase we can talk about. If something is not for somebody, what does that mean? It means it's not really their style or their preference or something they really like to do.
Yeah, you could say it's not for me. So instead of saying I don't like it, which is a bit boring.
More polite way to say I don't like it.
Yeah, exactly. Say it's not really for me.
Yeah, similar
sounds
to
a bit more diplomatic.
Not my cup of tea. Yeah,
exactly.
Which we don't use in the positive. We don't say if we like something, we don't say this is for me or this is my cup of tea. They're only used in the negative.
Exactly. That's an interesting point, isn't it? They're both only used in the negative form. It's not for me. It's not my cup of tea.
Which is often the case with idioms. They're just fixed. We only use them in one way.
That's right.
Yeah. So, for example, if someone goes off the rails, we can't say they go back on the rails.
That's true. That's an interesting one. Never thought of it that way, but yes.
So
that is true.
May not be everybody's cup of tea because it's pretty silly comedy. But I don't know. It's just basically, it's very simple. It's just a program about people who work in a big supermarket. So in the UK, we would say supermarket. And in the USA, I suppose they would say superstore.
Yeah.
But I think perhaps they say supermarket as well. But I think the reason they say superstore is because it is massive, really, really big. I think in France they're called hypermarkets, aren't they?
Yeah, I've definitely heard hypermarket before.
Yeah.
I don't think we have a bigger thing than a supermarket. Is there a word for that?
I don't think so. Just massive supermarket.
Yeah. And plus, we don't really use the word store in Britain. We use shop.
Yeah,
we
shop.
use the word shop.
And speaking of the names we give to these things, just to make clear to our listeners that when we say market, we do not mean the open air markets with stalls. We mean actual shops. That can be quite confusing.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. So whenever we say supermarket, we basically mean a shop.
Yeah, has a roof.
Which has a roof, which is indoors. And it could be a small one, a small supermarket, or a big supermarket. But in a big or a small one, you can buy food and drinks and household products.
Everything. That's the point,
stuff.
Isn't it?
Anything,
you can buy
really.
everything.
Anything for anything.
I remember I got my first skateboard from a supermarket.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Well, speaking of that, I think this is the reason I like this program, is because it really reminded me of my first job. For some reason, I loved my first job. I just worked in a supermarket in Morrison's. And it's probably because it was, I was 16 or something. And obviously it was the first time I was really earning my own money.
Yes, that's a great feeling.
Really loved it. And I've always loved people watching. There's a kind of modern phrase for people.
Yes,
what does
people watching. In fact, one of my students said watching people earlier today, and I said, it sounds better if you say people watching
as a noun.
I like
right?
people watching. Yes, exactly.
I used to love it. I think I might have said this on a podcast before. Forgive me if I have, but I just remember all these. Just watching people is so interesting. Like, I remember one guy bought 17 different types of toothbrushes. I don't know why. 17 toothbrushes, all different.
Maybe he owned like an orphanage or something.
I was thinking maybe he has 17 children.
Toothbrush to each. Yeah, who knows?
And
Could be one of those in the newspaper, like, I have 17 kids.
Exactly. And I just used to love doing that, and just, watching. I suppose, it can be a bit repetitive, that job. You're literally sitting at the till and just beep, 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 putting items through.
So is that what your job was?
Yeah, sometimes I was on the shop floor as well. But you did have to find ways to amuse yourself. So you'd try and guess what people were doing. So you'd see a guy buying like 50 buns and 20 sausages. You tell me what he's doing. Buns, sausages, burgers, exactly, barbecue. Yeah. So I think that's why I enjoyed it. I just really related to it. So one of the things that I find, one of the things I like most about this series is that obviously it follows the characters and the characters' lives, but interspersed they have these scenes where it just shows the crazy things that customers do. Using one guy uses a towel to blow his nose and then just puts it back onto the shelf.
Oh, that's so disgusting.
Obviously, I don't know if that actually happens, but it's just really funny because that's the thing when you work. I'm sure that lots of people who've worked with the public, whether it's in a supermarket or in a different shop or in a restaurant, they will all have stories about the crazy things that customers do.
Definitely, any people-facing job or customer-facing job, you're gonna have interesting stories, even if you don't think they're interesting. If you tell them, they can be interesting for the other person.
So one of the classic scenes from this program, which anybody who's seen it will know what I'm talking about because they show it at the beginning and at the end. There's one scene where it just cuts to a little girl who's sitting on a potty in the middle of an aisle. An aisle is the long row of products.
I don't know if potty needs to be explained. Do our students know what a potty is?
Tell us, what is it? We'll have the pleasure of telling us what a potty is.
A potty is like a little, usually made of plastic, a little toilet that children use before they use the real toilet, like little ones. They sit on the potty.
Yeah.
So obviously they were selling these plastic potties in the supermarket, I guess, and a little girl decided to to go to the loo.
Do her business. There we go. Do your business.
To do her business in the middle of the supermarket.
Do your business.
Well, at least she knew where she should be going.
That's true.
Like
she didn't
her
do it on the
parents
floor.
have trained her. Yeah.
Potty trained. There's another phrase. Exactly. So, and that's just, I don't know if that actually, I'm sure stuff like that has actually happened. And other things like, there's this one scene where a guy is asking the shop assistant about toothbrushes, but like asking about every single detail. It lasts like half an hour. People
Really?
like that. Just customers who want to know every single detail, just doing your head in and like, or keeping, everybody who's worked in a shop can relate to this. When you've got one customer, you're trying to leave, you're trying to close the shop, and there's one customer who's like, what size is this bin? Do you have another size? I want a red one. No, I want a black one,
Oh no. Yeah. No, I can imagine that happening. Yeah, I can imagine that. I've seen a lot of skits, let's say, on YouTube, like YouTube shorts and things, not necessarily about shops, but about restaurants, where there's always like the last customer in the restaurant who orders another bottle of wine
and all the staff are just at the back, like, when are they going to go? When are they going to leave?
When are they ever going to leave?
And you do everything to get them out, like turn the lights off, turn the music off, and they still don't leave.
Yeah, I think that's the cue, isn't it? That's when I say cue, I mean like the kind of signal that they give you to say get out is basically lower the lights, dim the lights, right?
What's that? Arctic Monkeys?
No, not dim the lights. Sorry, the opposite. They turn the lights up, don't they? They bright lights.
I think
turn
in a
off the
supermarket
music.
they'd turn them down, but in like a nightclub or a restaurant they'd turn them up, wouldn't they? Because
they're kind of well, not ruining, but changing the atmosphere, I suppose, in that way.
Did you ever do that when you were young? You dance until what's that Arctic Monkeys song
and
called?
then you see
they say she, what is it?
I have no idea.
She dances until the lights come on or something.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not that cool.
We're terrible British people. We should know that as a classic.
But yes, I do remember dancing until they used to switch on the lights and get the broom out.
Yeah, get the broom out.
Get the broom out, sweep up all the glass.
Oh God,
it's time to go home. Yeah. So that sounds good. I have, as I said, caught like clips of Superstore and found it pretty funny. It's that kind of classic, kind of American
feel good
sitcom. Yeah. Not too deep.
No.
Yeah, not particularly kind of sarcastic humor, more like haha humor. Do you know
exactly?
what I mean?
I think that's why I like it, because it really strikes a balance, because it's not too deep, but it's also not completely superficial. Like, it does have modern, contemporary, relevant themes. Like, even like miniseries during COVID, they filmed it during COVID, and they addressed lots of the themes. Even some really kind of political stuff. Like, there's one episode where they show that the hair products mainly used by African American people, like women, black women, are kept in a locked cupboard, locked display unit. Okay. And apparently this does actually happen, and it's because they think that those people are going to steal them. So it addresses that issue, really? And then that's it's pretty relevant stuff as well, and it addressed race.
I'm pretty sure I saw something like that in one of the episodes that I caught. I remember them talking about inequalities between or underrepresentation of different races and things like that, which are things that are being dealt with by companies, especially in the US, I think.
But the beauty of it is they manage to somehow still make it funny. Yeah,
exactly. That's the key, isn't it?
The sweet spot.
Making it funny. Yeah, that's right. Nice. Well, yeah, you kind of make me want to go and watch an episode now.
I'll tell you which one to watch. It's called Customer Safari.
Okay.
And the reason I liked it is because it's very similar to what I just said. It's in that episode, it's where the people who work there, they have this safari thing where they all mention the craziest type of customer you could see. Yeah. And then you get a point if you see them.
Oh, okay. I like
So it's like
it.
a safari is where you go on a
Yeah.
holiday to a desert or somewhere, for example, in sub-Saharan Africa, and you go and you watch, you look out for lions and tigers and those wild
Yeah.
animals. So this is kind of the same thing. They go around the shop looking out for
Looking
these.
for specific kinds of customers. Oh, that's
Yeah.
really funny. It's a good way to pass the time if you're bored.
Exactly,
Right?
because see, that's exactly what I said I was doing earlier. You find ways to amuse yourself because the job can
Right.
get pretty monotonous, and monotonous means boring and repetitive together. So I
exactly.
could relate to that very much.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Those are my minimum
Well,
wage
thanks for
job
sharing.
days.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Yeah. Lovely. Thank you very
Enjoy
much.
it.
And next time I will share one with you.
Ooh.
I'll have a little think in the meantime.
Yeah, I look
But
forward
yeah.
to it. Maybe we should also talk about things we've been reading, although I haven't been reading much recently, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, honestly, I haven't been reading. So when I do read, I'll definitely come back with one. But for the minute, it seems to be more Netflix on my agenda.
Netflix is the new
So,
book.
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Who needs books anymore?
Well, have a lovely rest of your week, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Take care and see you soon.
Take care. Bye.